Okay, so we're going to start the next project, and you're going to be making a ringed, or basically a jeweled ring. Think ring pop. Basically, any sort of ideally wearable object, being either a ring or a bracelet, something round-ish. Yes, you technically could make it rectangular if you wanted to, just to be a smartass. But also, hey, there's plenty of bracelets and bangles that aren't just circles. So, whatever. The idea is we're just using that as a vehicle for learning how to use a few different tools, namely how to create a jewel or more of a simpler design of using a polygon tool to extrude and then the tools of um, construction planes through 3 points and using that plane as a cutting tool and repeating that cut around an object, as well as learning how to use the pipe, sweep, and loft tool, which are tools that allow you to create either your own profile or just use an auto-generated one, pipe tool, around a path. And a path is simply a line, and it takes that profile and just extrudes it, but rather than straight along, it uses the path as a line, or uses the line as a path, sorry. So that could be just a simple circle. It could be kind of a twisty, meandering thing, somewhere in between. So let me hop over to Fusion, and I'll show you what I'm talking about. So project is ultimately you're going to be making some kind of a jeweled ring or bracelet, your choice. You can add features as you please. This one has like a little kind of zigzag lightning bolty thing. I used the emboss tool to create this raised feature with a recess zigzag lightning bolt thing, or even just the same sketch embossed over to the other side, doing just the lightning bolt. I actually used the pipe tool to create these ridges here along the ring. So you can actually use edge lines as a feature later. But main thing is also it has this simple, although it looks rather complex, jewel inside. I'm going to show you how to make a really simple version. And it has this one has this really overdone setting. And all of this is created, this setting here is created with just using a simple profile and a revolve tool and then chopping that tool up. So there's a variety of different ways we can go about this. There's this version, which is much more ring pop. So, like I said, more power to you if you like. But what we're going to focus on first, rather than the jewel and such, I want to walk you through first how to use and what the difference is on pipe, sweep, and loft are. So, hiding the jewel and the ring first, or the jewel and the that one first. A pipe can be created simply as drawing a line and using the pipe tool. It creates a profile around a pre-made line. A sweep takes that line and you make your own sketch that makes the own profile. A loft is joining two different sketches together and it transitions between from one to the other. Let's make that a little more simple. Let me stop sharing and I'll use the board here if I can. Ultimately, let me erase some stuff here. Let's say we draw a path, just a line. The pipe tool, sweep, and loft. The pipe tool bases that line and automatically creates either a circle, rectangle, or triangle. And you can either make that hollow, like it's a pipe, or leave it as is. It will automatically create that based on this line. It'll create a circle with that line right in the center, and it will move all the way down the length at the same rate. The sweep, you draw your own profile. That could be geometric. It could be an amorphous blob. And it's going to take that amorphous blob and take that all the way down the length. Mind you, you can also stop at any point between there. And that's going to be treated as a 0 to 1. distance. Anything in between, like 0.5, is going to be halfway. So 0 to 1. A loft will take one profile that you've drawn and a second profile, like rectangle, and blend the two together from one side to the other. And we can create a bracelet or something like that, or a ring, by, obviously with a pipe or sweep, you could just make a full circle and it'll continue all the way around. But with a loft, you could have, say, like an oval and a rectangle, one side and the other, and it will blend the two together, and then you just mirror them apart, or mirror them, and you make two halves of the same. So that's the quick and dirty version, explanation-wise. Let's actually show you on Fusion. All right. So we'll start a new project here, and I'll just go ahead and save this as example, pipe, sweep, loft. All right. So first things first, we're going to need a profile. So I'm just going to start one, and we'll just do on the XZ axis, and we'll just do a circle. Now you'll quickly see one of the problems of trying to measure. Let's say I'm making a bracelet that will fit my wrist, and obviously if you're going to make it fit your wrist, probably somewhere around, make sure it actually fits around your hand. Oh, that's inches. 85. So let's say 86. I could make 86 millimeters. I could just squeeze that past, maybe a little bit larger. I don't know. Let's make it 90, so it's a little bit more reasonable. That's what we're going to use as our path. Label that path. There we go. Now, if I use the pipe tool on that, which it's either going to be up here, pipe, and as you see, save the same thing, creates a solid pipe that follows a selected path. Select that path, and you can generate how wide you want that to be. Make big old giant path, makes it a donut. Well, obviously, the inside diameter now is going to shrink, meaning that, all right, I got my donut. The path that it's based around is large enough for my hand to fit through. But now, if I try to measure, of course, I can't measure that because the measurement system on Fusion kind of is not great. I would have to now create a new sketch, blah, 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 blah. And let's just measure from point to point. This gets very problematic. Now that aperture it's showing me is only 70 millimeters. So you're going to have to, if you want to use like a pipe tool or any of this, you might need to expand the whole thing. But the good thing is to say like, oh, I need that. Make sure to match so the inside is at least 85. All right, so it's 75. So it's 70 right now. So let's add 15 millimeters to the original diameter. Not a big deal. So now if I go back, edit sketch, make that 90 millimeters, 105. Yeah, that's 15 millimeters wider. Now in a redo, now that pipe tool is large enough. So it's really easy to fix this, but there we go. All right. So that body, we'll label that as pipe. Okay. Now the trick is, I also want to show you how to use a sweep and a loft. With those, you make your own path, or sorry, your own profile. So let's hide that. Make sure to unhide the path, blah, blah, blah. All right, simple, easy thing to do here. I'm going to create a sketch now perpendicular to my path. And let's just go up to the top and we'll use center point circle. There we go. Or it's not center point. I'm going to use like an oval shape. All right, there we go. Select OK. Now, the problem is that's not smack in the middle. And I say problem because you do really actually need it to be there. Otherwise, it's going to be offset. It's not the worst thing in the world, but if you wanted it actually centered, there you go. The easy thing about a sweep versus a pipe is what I could do is instead of having my sketch start right in the center, I could move that sketch to where it fits just at the top, and you could actually make your diameter of your circle or whatever actually true to size. So if I would need it to be 85 millimeters around, I can just make sure my profile sketch is slightly at or above that line. That's all. Pretty simple. Okay, finish that. Now I'm going to go down and use the next tool, which is also over here. Sweep, same thing, only it takes your profile sketch and you select a path, and it does the same thing, but it's your custom profile. And like I said, you can also only do partials if you need to, and it goes from 0 to 1. 0 being just at the profile plane, 1 being all the way around the path. So if your path has a circle, goes right back to starting point. There you go. Really simple. If you wanted to, you could, of course, go back. Let's alter that sketch a little bit. Let's make a little notch in it. I don't know. Let's right in the center. Let's draw a 4 millimeter circle. Great. Finish sketch and go back, re-edit that sweep, and we're going to adjust that profile to deselect that part. Finish, recalculate. Now it's got that feature built into it all the way around. So sweep is a really neat way of being able to make some modified parts and such like that. All right. Next up, label that as sweep. Hide that. I do want to keep my one sketch. I want to use Loft, but for Loft, I need 2 sketches, 2 or more actually. But in this case, we're going to keep it simple, 2. Same profile plane, the XZ axis, and on this time, I'm going to make my sketch down at the bottom. And I don't know, let's make it a rectangle. Let's just over exaggerate the size. Let's make one dimension 3 and the other one 15. Yeah, that seems excessive enough. Okay. So I have 2 different profiles. Finish sketch. So now, go to the next one. Loft, as it says, creates a transitional shape between 2 or more profiles. The or more thing comes in the next project. Select Loft. My profiles, I want to select the one that I drew before. And the next one, the rectangle. Now you're going to get an error immediately because it's trying to draw them directly together. So from one point to the other, straight through. It's not what we want. I need a guide rail or center line. In this case, same thing. So I can select that circle, and it's going to go from one to the other, and it's just going to follow that circle. But now it transitions from oval with notch to rectangle. And you can see as it goes along, that line widens and widens to become our path there, or our little feature. So really neat thing you can do with that. But that's how that one works. Select OK. Now, of course, I've only made half of one, and all you need to do is just mirror that. So select the mirror, select the object. My mirror line is my profile plane, and you can join them, but in this case, I'm going to leave it as 2 separate bodies so you can see the separation. And there you go. That's the difference between sweep, pipe, and loft. And I will label those as such. Loft 1, loft 2. Okay. So those give you a lot of those give you a lot of options to play with. Do know that as you can see here, and I'm going to hide the second loft, we can look at it a little more closely. Now let me do shift into auto color so you can see that a little bit more closely. It does sometimes get a little wonky. See how the path our notch here, for some reason, didn't stay centered, but instead it kind of twisted off to one side. That could be a neat thing, but let's see if we can tweak that. Keep it a center line around that path. Try that. Nope. We'll try rail guide. That's not going to let us do. Nope. We need to leave it as center line. All right. So I would say play around with that. Try to Keep that. I'm not sure why that is going off like it is. It should be going straight down the center because there's no reason for it to twist. So no, that's odd. I'm sure I'm missing something. So anyway, it's a really handy feature to be able to make more complex and more customized things. So play with those as needed, or play with those, kind of get a feel for them. We're going to use them in a moment. Doesn't have its own face path lift. Yeah, probably. All right. So just recommending might be because different face issues. Not sure. All right. But that's the pipe, sweep, and loft tool.